A very good afternoon to all the participants and delegates. I begin today by acknowledging the contribution of our forefathers who have helped in creating a world based on freedom and human dignity. I extend my respect to people of diverse cultures, faiths, colors, and genders, and pledge to work for equity, inclusivity, peace, and harmony. I, Tripti Singh, along with my co-host Siksha, student of DME Media School, welcome you to the first online technical session of 6th edition of the world's first 7-day staggered co-location conference. ICAN6 is organized by DME Media School in collaboration with the School of Communication and Creative Arts, Deakin University, Melbourne, Australia, and is sponsored by the Indian Council of Social Science Research, ICSSR. This time, ICAN6 is organized in a staggered format which will take place at 4 different venues across India and abroad. Phase 1 will be held in Delhi Metropolitan Education, Noida from 19 to 21 June and Manav Rachna International Institute of Research and Studies, Faridabad on 22nd June. Phase 2 will be in Makhanlal Chaturvedi National University for Journalism and Mass Communication, Bhopal on 21st July and Daffodil International University, Bangladesh on 5th to 6th August 2023. I would like to take a moment and introduce organizer of the conference to our audience. Delhi Metropolitan Education is an A-grade premier educational institute affiliated to Guru Gobind Singh Indraprastha University, New Delhi, and approved by the Bar Council of India. DME Media School is one of the most promising media institutes in the country. It offers communication. It is recognized as a school focused on the growth of its faculty and students through academic and co-curricular activities. ICAN6 has come with the theme Identity, Culture, Agenda-Driven Newscast with the hashtag Cultural Identity for Diversity. ICAN6 has support of more than 21 partners. The conference is sponsored by the Indian Council of Social Science Research. Conference partners are ICAN6, Gen Section, GMEC, Global Media Education Council. Knowledge partners are Manav Rachna International Institute of Research and Studies, Faridabad, Makhanlal Chaturvedi National University for Journalism and Mass Communication, Bhopal, Admas University, Kolkata, Institute of Applied Medicine and Research, ICAN6, Ghaziabad, KSF Keshav Suri Foundation. International partners are Daffodil International University, Bangladesh, Institute for International Journalism, Ohio University, USA, Deakin House National University, Pakistan. Media partners are The Policy Times, Jai Hind Times, Quick News, News 44. ICAN6 is powered by Asian Media and Cultural Studies Network Australia, India Film Practitioners and Researchers Network Australia, SPARK, the Student of Council DME Media School, RIM, Research and Innovation in Media Research Cell of DME, Richmond Fellowship Society India, Delhi branch. Since 2018, DME Media School has been organizing the international conference ICAN. The themes for the former editions were India and Changing Aspects of News in ICAN1, Indian Cinema and Alternate Networks in ICAN2, Issues of Community Agenda and News in ICAN3, Information, Communication and Artificial Networks in ICAN4, Inclusivity, Convergence and Alternative Negotiation in ICAN5, Identity, Culture, Agenda-Driven Newscast in ICAN6. This unique conference is conceptualized by Dr. Avri Saxena, Professor and Dean of DMA Media School. He is the convener of ICAN6.
I'm happy to share that journalism at DME education covers all the major activities happening in and out of the campus. The student-centric newsletter carried out entirely by them under the supervision of faculty members. DME TV is our official YouTube channel where you can find the playlist related to all the sessions, lecture series, film festival, and conferences. For more information, follow us on our social media handles and YouTube channel DME TV. Today, we all are here for the technical session on the topic News and Entertainment Media, Contemporary Trends and Perception of Audience. This session will be chaired by Dr. Pallavi Majumdar. Dr. Pallavi Majumdar is professor at Royal Thimphu College, Bhutan. She has led Amity School of Communication, Noida, one of the largest communication schools in India. There she has spearheaded curriculum development, industry academia, interface, internationalization. Prior to joining academics, she has worked as a journalist in India for over 8 years with leading brands such as The Times of India and Business Standard in New Delhi. She has also been a contributory journalist for BBC News Service, PhD in Media Studies from Center for Culture, Media and Governance, Jamia Millia Islamia, New Delhi. Dr. Majumdar has driven several research, innovation and training initiatives, including chairing an international conference on emerging media paradigms, editing a peer-reviewed journal, and directing a media affairs training program for the government of Guyana, South America. She is also recipient of Netherlands Government Fellowship. We welcome you, ma'am.
Thank you, Sajal.
So,
Saxena sir has joined. Dr. Amrish Saxena has joined. Sir, I request you to please kindly share your formal remarks for this session.
Thank you, Manmeet. Welcome, Professor Pallavi Majumdar in this session. It's really nice to get these sessions chaired by people like Professor Pallavi, who has been there always along in this ICAN conference in most of the sessions. And since we have entered the sixth year of this conference, today is the third day, and till last year we were having most of the sessions in the online mode, but this time we try to have a mix of the online and offline, and exactly that's on-site sessions. So simultaneously 4 sessions are happening, 2 on-site, 2 online. And I must tell you, Professor Pallavi, that in the on-site session, Professor Gauri Chakravarti is here in the DME campus to chair that session. So I welcome you once again, and I hope that this session will really be beneficial for all the research scholars and the paper presenters who have gathered here to make this presentation. So thank you all.
Thank you, sir. Now our co-chair for this session is Dr. Manmeet Kaur. Dr. Manmeet Kaur is Associate Professor at Delhi Metropolitan Education, Noida, affiliated to Guru Gobind Singh Indraprastha University. She is a graduate from Punjab University, Chandigarh, and Masters in Journalism and Mass Communication from Guru Nanak Dev University, Amritsar. She bagged second university position during Masters. She has completed her PhD in Film Studies from Guru Nanak.
It's okay, Trapti. Thank you for the nice introduction. My PhD from Guru Nanak Dev University, Amritsar. Thank you so much. Okay, so shall we start with the session, ma'am?
Absolutely.
Yes, ma'am. So this is a short information for the presenters that the presentation will be of 7 to 8 minutes. You have to wind your presentation within this time period. And at the end of the session, Dr. Pallavi Majumdar will also announce the best paper presenter of the session. Maybe not at the end of the session, but we will announce the best paper presenter for this technical session. So the first presenter of this technical session is Ankita Bhatt, along with Amit Messi. Ankita is the student from Amity University, Lucknow, and Amit Messi is the assistant professor. He is the co-author of the paper. And the title of the paper is to study the news consumption pattern of college-going students in Lucknow district. So Ankita, good to go?
Good afternoon, everyone. Ma'am, may I share my screen?
Yes, you have right to share your screen. Please do.
Thank you, ma'am. A very good afternoon to one and all present here. My name is Ankita Bhatt. I'm from Amity School of Communication. My topic for this study is to study the news consumption pattern of college-going students from Lucknow district. So let me start with the introduction. So my study outlines the news consumption pattern. As we have seen before COVID, There was a different trend when people used to read newspapers, give their time in studying what actually is going for the day-to-day happenings. But after COVID, there is a shift in the pattern, and especially if I'm studying the college-going student, then there's a huge shift because today's youth prefer online mediums. So my study is totally based on that, to study what actually they prefer when it comes to consumption of news. Secondly, it focuses on the specific geographical location, which is of Lucknow district of UP. Third, in the study, the youth represent especially the college-going students. The objectives of my study is to find the news consumption of college-going students. Secondly, the platforms they prefer to consume the news, whether it's an online platform or offline mediums. And third is there any shift in the news consumption habit or not? And fourth is to find how much time they spent on the news consumption, whether it is from offline mediums or online mediums. The literature review, I have referred to websites where I have come to know, like after COVID-19, there's a huge shift just because of digitalization. Because digitalization has changed everything. Before, students doesn't used to attend like online meetings, online lectures, online classes. But after COVID, it has made the way very easy for us to conduct classes, as how currently I am presenting my PPT through online medium, but it wasn't possible much before. So I have visited 2 websites from where I have come across several data and several information, which helped me in this research. The methodology that I have adopted is qualitative method and quantitative method. In the quantitative method, I have conducted a survey which I have prepared a questionnaire in which 12 to 15 questions were there regarding like which type of news do you prefer, which platform do you prefer the most, and the sample size was 100. And secondly, I have conducted a telephonic interview of the students who have a keen knowledge and they were vocal on the topics like these, or speaking or sharing their points, why there's a shift, is there any shift or not, or do they feel any change in their own habit. First finding is showing like the age group which has participated in the survey which I have conducted. The age group is between 18 to 26 years who have participated in the survey, as the graph exactly reflects. Second finding is about which shows the difference in the choices in the online platform as well as the offline platform. The question was asked, which platform do you prefer the most? So as for the data, as for the graph shown, 80.7% of the youth consume news from online platforms and 19.3% of them consume news from offline platforms. So online platform is more preferred. Third finding is about the question was asked in a questionnaire, like which type of news do you consume? Several options were given, like lifestyle, political, crime, sports, and entertainment. And in that, lifestyle and entertainment is the most preferred by 27 and 25%. Fourth finding is about if they prefer online platforms or whether newspaper, mobile applications, social media. In that, social media was among the top. As per the data, 47.7% of the youth consumes news from social media, and then 22% from the mobile applications, and newspaper is very less in comparison. Like online medium is majorly preferred. Fifth finding is about like depicting the reason why, if they are preferring online, then why they prefer online. The first reason they give, or the most preferred reason, is it is very easily accessible for them. It is on their fingertips that they can easily get any information, what is day-to-day happening, and easily accessible. Large variety is there, wide coverage is there, and less limitations. Instead going through the long newspapers, reading for around hours, they can get a short and crisp news on online platforms. And the conclusion in that I have got come across, in the era of digital supremacy, conventional sources of news seems outdated and less preferred. In the interview also, I have got to know from students, if I have asked whether you read newspaper or not, they say no. We prefer online platform because it seems very boring and it's a time-taking process. So we can easily refer various news applications and apps. We can easily get information. And it was found that 80% of youth is more dependent on digital platforms to consume the news. Entertainment and lifestyle are the main genre which youth pay more attention. And the last, the reason for prefer to online sources is it is easily accessible, large variety is there, less limitations, and worldwide access. The restrictions of my limitations of my research was it was restricted to only Lucknow district. And when I have tried to take the interview, some of them were very doubtful and skeptical, and some even don't agree with my point, like no, newspaper will not release their reliability, because newspaper are still reliable in today's scenario. Sometimes we found the fake news on social media which is spread through some kind of negative intentions. So some were doubtful in sharing there, and some were hesitant, and some even didn't agree. And I was lacking organizing more interviews. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, Ankita, I must say that it was a very relevant topic that you chose, because news consumption habits have actually been, undergoing a huge transformation, right,
Yes,
in
ma'am.
today's world, especially with digital media and, as you mentioned, social media. I thought that it's very interesting, some of your findings. But
Yes,
what
thank you, ma'am.
I'd also like to give you a little bit of feedback
Ji, ma'am.
on your presentation. It's good to refer to websites for your literature review, but there's a vast expanse of literature when it comes to news consumption and how media consumption habits are changing, right? So there are a lot of scholars who have worked on it. So it might be a good idea to also include some academic references, some interesting work which has been done by scholars, and that will lend a lot of depth to your study, right? As also maybe going forward, as and when you develop your study, I'm very happy that you've started on your research journey along with your research supervisor Amit Masi sir, right?
Yes.
So but as you go forward, you must also try to see what is your unique contribution, right? Some of these issues have been explored at length by academicians and scholars. So what is the unique angle that you want to look at when it comes to this study? Okay, and one more aspect that you could explore going forward is how are these short form videos, right? In today's world, everybody is watching shorts, whether it's on YouTube, whether it's on
Instagram.
obviously social media sites like TikTok, which is banned in India, but worldwide it's doing very well, right? So how are these different formats influencing news consumption habits? Yeah. So
Yes.
so overall, I think it
Yes,
was a
ma'am, I'll work on it.
good exploration. But I do hope that going forward, you will develop some of these ideas further.
Sure, ma'am. Sure, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Ankita. I must say that you have concluded your presentation well in time, and nice observations by ma'am. Definitely, this was my observation, that review of literature can be little better in your presentation. Best
Sure, ma'am.
wishes for your further research. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
So the next presenter of this session is Ms. Bhargavi Singh, and the title of her presentation is "Does OTT Content Need Censorship? The Audience's Take." And the co-author is Dr. Sanjay Mohan Johari, Professor and Director, Amity School of Communication, Amity University, Lucknow. Bhargavi, yes, you can share your screen, unmute yourself.
Hello, I hope I'm visible and audible.
Perfect.
I'll just quickly share my screen.
Bhargavi, just try to conclude your presentation within 7 to 8 minutes.
I hope it's full screen.
Yeah, it's full screen. Thank you.
So, hello everyone. My name is Bhargavi Singh. I am a final year student pursuing my bachelor's in journalism and mass communication from Amity School of Communication, Lucknow. The topic of my research project was "Does OTT content need censorship? The audience take." And this research was done under the guidance of Professor Dr. Sanjay Mohan Johari, who is the director of Amity School of Communication, Lucknow. So this will be the flow of the presentation. I'll just quickly move on to the introduction. So as we all know, in recent years, over-the-top platforms, OTT platforms have gained immense popularity in the country, with many platforms coming up and various movies and web shows being released every week. And they are not just limited to a particular sector, they are gaining immense popularity throughout the nation. So while there are laws in place to govern what the content should contain, like the draft rules, IT draft rules of 2021, which have a 3-level grievance readdressal system, and 9 platforms across India have also adopted a self-regulatory code known as IAMAI. I'm sorry. But still, we can see there are many shows that contain objectionable content, with many viewers also going to the length of filing FIRs and court cases against shows like Mirzapur and College Romance for the content being shown in them. So the objectives of this research was to understand how people assess the content and do they think there is a need for censorship of the content, and the level of influence of these uncensored or objectionable content on the audience, as well as to understand what the audience perceives as a limitable as a limit of acceptable artistic freedom that should be given to the filmmakers in order to have a balanced approach. So primary literature review revealed that the basic challenge was to find a balance between for the filmmakers to find a balance between showing what they think is creatively good, or showing their creative artistic liberty, taking artistic liberty, while also keeping in mind the diverse range of people across India. Because India is a nation that constitutes people that come from a variety of areas, including their financial background, which has a very big impact on how they perceive the content that is being shown on these platforms. So the major findings of the literature review were that the censorship on these platforms should be seen as a means of presenting the truth in a dignified manner rather than an obstruction to the creative liberty of filmmakers. And there were different perspectives of the filmmakers, because some filmmakers in the literature review I found were of the view that filmmakers also have some sort of responsibility, moral responsibility, because of the content that is being broadcasted throughout the nation, while others believe that as filmmakers they should not be forced and confined with rules and regulations, and the self-regulatory codes taken by platforms are enough and no further need for censorship or any sort of regulatory body is needed. So the research methodology used was a mixed methods approach. I used a survey, an online survey with 103 participants, which ranged from the age of 15 to 60. And I did a focus group discussion with 5 participants and a personal interview with an industry expert to gain more knowledge on the viewpoints of the audience. So for data, let's move on to the data analysis. I asked in my online survey, I asked around 16 questions that range from understanding the consumption pattern of the audience, from the platforms they preferred, to if they like viewing it alone or with family, and the frequency with which they watch these platforms. Apart from that, the basic questionnaire questions focused on whether the audience or the participants believe that the OTT content shown on the various platforms need censorship, where majority agreed that yes, some sort of censorship is required, and they agreed that there is a big influence of these content on the general audience, and that should be kept in mind while making these content or these web shows and movies. So we had a focus group discussion with 5 participants that was for around 1 hour. And while all the participants agreed that there is a need for censorship, the main discussion was around how this content, or how the content should be regulated, or what sort of censorship can be applied, because we as students of mass communication are also taught filmmaking. So I wanted to have a mixed approach on the discussion, and the basic findings of the focus group discussion was that whatever committee we make to decide the regulations or to oversee all the content should compromise of objective film industry experts. So there is no bias towards the content, because as we know, viewing and content, movies, web shows are very subjective in nature. While some people might find it offensive, others might find it enjoyable. So a very objective set of people should be involved in making the rules and reviewing all these content on the various platforms before it is showcased to the general audience. So the personal interview I had was with Mr. Prakhar Tripathi, who is an independent director and the founder of Sharpcom Media, which is a film production company. And while he agreed that there is a responsibility of the filmmakers in making the content, but he argued that most of the youth gets introduced to all these what we call as objectionable elements through other sources as well, and not just the OTT platforms. So beyond a certain point, filmmakers should not be held responsible for making morally acceptable content, and they should be given the artistic freedom to make whatever they want. These are some of the gist of what all I just told you in the findings. One finding that I found really unique in my research was when I asked an open-ended question in my online survey of what content should be banned or should be censored apart from violence, nudity, abusive language. The glorification of crime and criminals is a point that was highlighted by many people who thought that this is something that should be reviewed and properly scrutinized before it is shown to the general audience, because of how susceptible the new generation is and how the youth is. So the conclusion is, like I discussed, the need for censorship was acknowledged by many people throughout the online survey and the focus group discussion. And they realized and they agreed that the popularization of abusive language, violence, and glorification of alcohol and drug consumption on OTT platforms is a point of concern that should be addressed properly by all the competent authorities. And the overall conclusion that came out apart from the censorship was that there needs to be a very nuanced approach when we decide on the censorship or the regulations that we come up with, because of how the rules might differ from story to story per se. Some stories might require the strong uncensored content in order to show and make the story more impactful, while other platforms, like we discussed in the focus group discussion, well, nowadays a lot of people just use these objectionable or per se abusive language on nudity just to increase the viewer count, just to attract audience and make it a topic of talk of the town. Just for that purpose, many people are also using it in a bad manner. So a very nuanced and flexible approach should be taken to accommodate both the viewers, the audience, as well as the filmmakers. So limitations of this research project was the sample size. The sample size of the online survey was restricted to 103 participants. I feel moving forward with my research, I would want a bigger sample size so I can get a better understanding of the perspective of the audience, as well as a more diverse range of participants. Because although I had a few people in the age group of 40s, 50s, and 60s, they were not enough to do a comparative analysis of the answers given by the youth versus them. So moving forward, I would really want a more nuanced look and more diversity of age group, as well as tier 2 to tier 3 cities, to get an understanding of how they perceive all these elements in shows and movies. And I would also want to include more personal interviews to understand what what sort of mentality filmmakers have when they are creating whatever we know as objectionable or adult content on various platforms. Some recommendations, like I discussed earlier, would be to make an independent body that reviews all the content before it is shown on the platforms. And this body should be independent and should be of objective industry experts or experts from the world who have knowledge of culture and are well versed in the field, but it main focus should be on the objectivity of this committee, so that there is no back and forth, and the filmmakers get a fair chance to showcase their creativity, while the audience also gets to enjoy good content that they can view alone or with their family. Thank you.
Wonderful, Bhargavi. Let me start off by saying it's a very relevant topic in today's world, regulation of OTT content, something that we deal with every day. And I think it's important to gauge the perception of the public or the audience in this case, also because when it comes to OTT regulation, mostly it is, the OTT players or the government who seem to be engaging in a dialogue vis-a-vis regulation. But another important stakeholder is the people, the audience themselves, but they're mostly ignored. So I hope this study will, add that interesting element in terms of what does the audience actually feel. However, there are a couple of issues that I'd like to give my feedback about. And I hope that going forward, even as you as a researcher, as a media scholar, talk about things, you will keep that in mind. So in one of your questions, you mentioned that, that the content is uncensored, right? Question number 5. But the question is, can we really call it uncensored? Because, 2 years back, the government did bring in a new law. It was called the IT Intermediary Guidelines and Digital Media Code, law. And what a lot of scholars have been talking about is that maybe OTT content regulation is not very harsh. It is a soft touch regulation or it's co-regulation, but the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting does regulate it, but in a different way, right? By defining content. Like, so if you see a movie which says violence, sex, things like that. So they've left a lot of the regulation on, things like parental control, creating logins, technology, right? So as you go forward, you should make your study a little more nuanced, right? Talk about all of these, these are complex issues which need to be kind of interconnected together, right? So great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you, Bhargavi. It was a nice presentation, but I must say Pallavi ma'am's input has created another topics for the research, like the parental norms. You have said, ma'am. Maybe a research scholar can do findings regarding the same norms. So thank you so much. Next presenter of the session is um, Mr. Adarsh Srivastav, student from Amity School of Communication, Patna, and impact of television advertisements on buying behavior of homemakers is the title of the study.
Am I visible and I'm audible?
Yes, sir, you are visible and audible. Please share your screen.
Is my screen visible, ma'am?
Yes, sir, it's visible. Can you keep it on full screen mode?
Yes, ma'am.
Hanji.
So, namaskar and good afternoon to everyone and all present here. My name is Adarsh Srivastav and I'm a student of Masters in Journalism and Mass Communication, second semester, and I belong to Amity University, Patna. And this research paper has been supervised by my teacher, Mrs. Juni Kumari ma'am, Assistant Professor, Amity School of Communication, Amity University, Patna. So keeping the nervousness aside, I must start my presentation. This is my topic, which says impact of television advertisements on buying behavior of homemakers. 1 second, ma'am. So this is my abstract, which says advertisements are a source of revenue for television broadcasters and also a big tool for brands promoting their products among people, as the television audience is very huge and widespread in today's time. This research study shows how homemakers decide to purchase a product based on the promotion or advertisements on television. The keywords used here are television advertisements, consumer behavior, products, and homemakers. Let's move to the introduction part, which says advertisements have a significant impact on the increase or reduction in sales of any goods or business. The easiest strategy to promote a good or a brand is to promote it on television, since people are quickly drawn to what is more appealing to the eye. We have seen that what is more visually creative attracts more customers. This research aims to determine the effect of television on homemakers to decide their buying behavior, and it aims to understand how people's mind, especially homemakers, have been influenced through commercials. In terms of family decisions involving the purchasing of household goods, an independent or single family member is typically in charge, and most of the time, housewives or homemakers decide on this. Let's move on to the literature review or the review of literature. I have taken 4 literature reviews. The first, impact of television advertisements on consumer buying behavior of consumer products. The study comes to the conclusion of the proper baby diapers, and the research study concludes that the TV commercials must include participants, the jungle, and information about the product's benefits. The second one is the impact of television advertisements on buying behavior of Indian adults, an empirical study. And the outcome of the study is that adults, regardless of their place of residence, strongly believe that watching TV advertisements has an effect on their thoughts, and this exposure has increased not only their participation in purchasing, but also their frequency of purchase. Impact of television advertisement consumer buying behavior, a literature review. As a result, it can be said that people buy things based on their to the surroundings. The fourth and the last one is the effect of TV advertisements on consumer buying behavior. A comparative study on rural and urban and male and female consumers. The study also shows that women are likely than males to be influenced by TV commercials while making purchase decisions. As I said in my introduction part, that most of the times homemakers or a housewife decides the purchase decision of a family. I have taken 3 objectives for my research. The first one is to analyze the impact of television advertisements on the homemakers. The second one is to find out that does television advertisement influences or persuades the buying behavior of advertisement viewers. And the third one is to find out the decision making of homemakers. The methodology used here was quantitative. It was a primary data research, and the research design used here was descriptive research design. The research tool or the data collection tool was questionnaire, and it was collected through Google Forms. The sample collection was purposive sample, and the respondents were 57 that were found fit for this research. Let's move on to the main part, which is the data analysis. I have taken 10 questions here, and I'll discuss them further in the findings. The first question says, on an average, how many hours per day do you watch television? This was an answer I was not expecting from homemakers or housewives, that 54.4% of the housewives spend less than 1 hour on television per day. The second one is how often do you come across advertisements, especially targeting homemakers? The 38.6% majority says that very frequently they see advertisement that specially target homemakers. These 2 graphs, the first one is which television channels do you watch the most? The entertainment channels are most likely to be viewed by the homemakers. And I have given an option to select multiple options. The second graph is like which types of products or services advertised on the television appeal to you the most. And the home appliances, which I was expecting the most, have got the majority, means 54.4% from the homemakers. The fifth graph is the fifth chart is for have television advertisement ever influenced your personal decision for home household products. So the two major response were occasionally and rarely from the homemakers, and only sometimes the homemakers feel that the advertisement accurately represent the benefits and products of and features of the products. The seventh one shows that how often do homemakers purchase products, seeing their advertisements on television. And as you can see that most of the majority says occasionally and rarely. And the eighth one is, have television advertisements ever made you switch brands or try new products? So very occasionally it is seen that people, or especially homemakers, change their brands or try new products by seeing them on television. The ninth one is for, do you consider price or the affordability, which is very common in India, in India or in the world, that people or the housewives, especially housewives, generally consider the price or the affordability, that is it in their budget or not. So 45.6% of the population of the respondents have said yes always, and 42.1% have said sometimes. And the last one is, do you feel that television advertisements accurately depict the lifestyle and aspirations of homemakers? The majority of the respondents, the housewives, have said sometimes, only sometimes the advertisement depict the lifestyles and aspirations of the homemakers. The findings say, the results say that a majority of people come across advertisements that focus especially on homemakers. The entertainment channels are the most preferable channels watched by the homemakers, and the advertisement for home appliances are the most appealing, as I discussed earlier. Also, very, very rarely or occasionally, advertisements have influenced the purchase decision of homemakers, but the results also say that only sometimes advertisements accurately represent the benefits and features of the product. The result of purchasing products after seeing them on television was kind of dicey between rarely and occasionally, but the advertisements have made the majority switch their brands, or have not made switch their brands or try new products. Homemakers always, or sometimes, but most of the times, consider the price or the affordability before making their decisions, and not always, but the respondents feel that only sometimes the television advertisement accurately depict the lifestyle and the aspiration of homemakers. Let's move on to the final part, which says the conclusion. Advertisements, especially on television, have always been appealing to the homemakers. The homemakers have always considered what is in their budget as well as useful. Television advertisements are even more appealing because of the visual creativity. The study reveals that the price and affordability have always been and still are a matter of consideration for the homemakers for deciding their purchase. Further, it is known by the study that the homemakers do not buy products just because they're visually appealing, but also they rarely believe in changing brands of products. The study further reveals that more than half of the respondents spend less than 1 hour on television. But we can say that chances of attracting the audience is very high for the brands advertising on television, because they are visually creative and visually very appealing, and they have the benefit of attracting the audience by sound and by visuals as well. And the television advertisement not only promote a brand or a product, but also helps the brand creating a strong image and a strong and good reputation in the market as well. The one thing I missed out in the presentation was the limitation, that my topic was only limited to homemakers, and getting the Google Forms filled by the homemakers was a huge task for me. So yeah, these are my limitations. Thank you so much.
Okay, wonderful, Adarsh. I missed some bit of your presentation because of a technical glitch, but I got most of it. So Adarsh, it's interesting that you took a topic like this, because impact of TV ads on buying behavior is something which has been, explored a lot by scholars earlier. And I was hoping that you'll bring in a twist here, right? So one finding, for example, mentioned that, most of the viewers spent less than 1 hour on television. So, but if you look at the average amount of time people spend on media, it is much more. So then the question arises, where are they spending all that time, if not on television? Yeah, you must also look into the fact that, a lot of people have smart TVs in today's world, and they are consuming YouTube and OTT over their smart television as compared to the linear cable television, right? And you
Ma'am,
need to also link some of that.
The only thing which decreased the amount of time which was spent on television by the homemakers was the new media or the digital media, because they are more likely to spend more time uh, on YouTube or Hotstar, things like that.
Okay, wonderful. I'm glad you are acknowledging that. So going forward,
Yes, ma'am.
Adarsh, in your research, it might be a good idea to link this buying behavior on television
Yes, ma'am.
versus the kind of influence they might come across through bloggers or influencers, because today that is, targeted advertising on digital media is what is being done, right? So
Yes,
going
ma'am.
forward, I do hope you will make your topic a little more relevant to today's time.
Okay, ma'am.
Great. Thank you, but a great effort.
Sure, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Adarsh. Even it is my observation that if you can relate the buying behavior of the homemakers, because your statement of the problem, the title is very concrete that you are dealing with the homemakers. But if there is a little twist regarding the buying behavior of the homemakers related to the online digital media advertisement, there are so many homemakers, they are spending their time on digital media, Facebook, Instagram, from where their buying behavior might be influenced. There are so many advertisements related to exhibition or maybe related to various offs, some things like that. So there can be a
Yes, ma'am.
twist in your title. Again, a good effort.
Okay, ma'am.
Congratulations. Thank you so much for the
Thank you, ma'am.
presentation. And thank you so much,
Thank
ma'am,
you so
for
much,
your
ma'am.
inputs. The next presenter is Harshil Sharma, a research scholar, and the co-author is Dr. Deepak Kumar, Assistant Professor from Dev Sanskriti Vishwavidyalaya, Haridwar. The title of the presentation is वर्तमान समय में फ्रीलांस पत्रकारिता की प्रासंगिकता.
प्रणाम सभी को, मेरा नाम हर्षल शर्मा है और मैं देव संस्कृत विश्वविद्यालय की छात्र हूँ। मेरा टॉपिक है वर्तमान समय में फ्रीलांस पत्रकारिता की प्रासंगिकता, एक अध्ययन, जिसमें डिजिटल मीडिया का विशेष संदर्भ दिया गया है, जिसकी भूमिका में मैंने बताया है कि पत्रकारिता क्या होती है। पत्रकारिता एक व्यवसाय है जिसमें पत्रकार खबरों एक मिनट मैम पत्रकारिता एक व्यवसाय है जिसमें पत्रकार खबरों को एकत्रित करता है, उनकी पुष्टि करता है और समाज के लोगों तक जानकारी पहुंचाता है। वह जानकारी किसी भी प्रकार की हो सकती है, जैसे शिक्षा, राजनीति, मनोरंजन, स्वास्थ्य, खेल, अपराध और जनता की मांग पर किसी भी संगठन द्वारा दिए गए विज्ञापन छापना भी पत्रकारिता व्यवसाय में ही सम्मिलित है। वहीं पे फ्रीलांसिंग की अगर हम बात करें तो फ्रीलांसिंग ऐसे व्यक्ति जो किसी एक संस्था के लिए कार्य नहीं करते हैं तथा अपनी विशेषताओं के माध्यम से कई संस्थान के लिए कार्य करते हैं, जब संस्थान उस व्यक्ति को उसके कौशल के लिए भुगतान करते हैं तो वो फ्रीलांसिंग कहती है। सोशल मीडिया पर भी फ्रीलांस पत्रकारिता का प्रयोग अपने विचारों को प्रस्तुत करने के लिए किया जाता है, जैसे कि ब्लॉगिंग। वहीं सोशल मीडिया पर पत्रकारिता को भी पीछे नहीं छोड़ा गया है। कई एप्स और प्लेटफॉर्म्स ऐसे हैं जिनके द्वारा पैसे कमाए जा सकते हैं और अपने विशेषताएं, गुणवत्ताओं को बढ़ाया जा सकता है। अध्ययन की आवश्यकता। फ्रीलांस का अध्ययन कई कारणों से महत्वपूर्ण है। हाल ही के वर्षों में डिजिटल युग के फ्रीलांसिंग के क्षेत्र में तेजी से बढ़ोतरी हो रही है। यह वैश्विक अर्थव्यवस्था में महत्वपूर्ण योगदानकर्ता बन गई है। फ्रीलांसिंग के कई फायदे फ्रीलांसिंग अपने बहुत सारे फायदे प्रदान करता है, जैसे कि काम में लचीलापन, सुलभ काम करने की क्षमता और ग्राहकों को परियोजनाओं चुनने का अवसर देना। परियोजनाएं मीन्स प्रोजेक्ट। और शायद यही कारण है कि आज ज्यादातर लोग फ्रीलांसिंग के क्षेत्र में की ओर ज्यादा आकर्षित होते हैं। फ्रीलांसिंग क्योंकि सेल्फ मोटिवेट करता है, अपना टाइम खुद मैनेजमेंट करने की हमें स्किल्स देता है और व्यवसाय विकास जैसे अद्वितीय कौशल जैसे आवश्यकता होती है। वर्तमान समय में फ्रीलांस पत्रकारिता की प्रासंगिकता, या फिर यूं कहें कि पत्रकारिता में फ्रीलांसिंग को समझने के लिए इसकी आवश्यकता है। साहित्यिक सर्वेक्षण में मेरे टॉपिक से रिलेटेड ज्यादा सामग्री मुझे प्राप्त नहीं हुई, तो मैंने जो रिसर्च पेपर्स पढ़े थे वो कुछ इस प्रकार थे, जिसमें मेंटेनिंग अ फ्रीलांस करियर, हाउ जर्नलिस्ट जनरेट एंड इवेल्युएट फ्रीलांस वर्क में मैंने पढ़ा कि स्वतंत्र पत्रकार जो होते हैं वो अपना करियर कैसे बनाए रखते हैं और अपने लक्ष्य को प्राप्त कर सकते हैं। कुछ ही पॉइंट्स पे उसमें फोकस किया गया, जिसमें उन्होंने बताया कि कैसे उनका मूल्यांकन कर सकते हैं और कैसे अपना बिजनेस खुद बना सकते हैं। और नेक्स्ट में फ्रीलांसिंग आई यू रेडी टू गो 16 में मैंने पढ़ा कि अपने कुछ विचारों को या फिर कुछ पर्टिकुलर पॉइंट्स को लेके कि लोगों के लिए कैसे उपयोगी सलाह प्रदान करता है जो पहले से ही फ्रीलांसिंग कर रहे हैं और अपने व्यवसाय को बनाए रखना चाहते हैं। लेकिन फ्रीलांसिंग का डिजिटल प्लेटफॉर्म पर बदलते स्वरूप पर अभी ज्यादा अध्ययन नहीं हुआ, तो प्लेटफॉर्म को लेकर गहन अध्ययन भी नहीं किया गया, इसलिए मैंने इस पर काम किया है, जिसमें मेरे शोध के उद्देश्य फ्रीलांस की स्थिति का गहन अध्ययन करना, वर्तमान में फ्रीलांस पत्रकारिता की चुनौतियां एवं संभावनाओं को जानना। शोध की क्रियाविधि थ्योरेटिकल थी, गुणात्मक विश्लेषण और डेटा संग्रह द्वितीयक डेटा था, जिसमें सीमा केवल 3 ही प्लेटफॉर्म्स को मैंने लिया था, फाइवर, फ्रीलांसिंग, अपवर्क। और सिर्फ फ्रीलांसिंग के ही प्लेटफॉर्म लिए गए हैं क्योंकि बहुत सारे प्लेटफॉर्म्स हैं, जैसे यूट्यूब, वहाँ पे भी लोग अपना चैनल बना के अब वीडियोस पोस्ट कर सकते हैं, इंस्टाग्राम, फेसबुक भी, लेकिन जो स्पेशली सिर्फ प्लेटफॉर्म्स फ्रीलांसिंग के लिए बने हैं मैंने उन्हीं पे लिया है, जिसमें फ्रीलांसिंग के तेजी से प्रासंगिक होने के कारण है लचीलापन। फ्रीलांसिंग व्यक्तियों को कहीं से भी और किसी भी समय काम करने की सुविधा प्रदान करता है। इससे लोगों के लिए अपने काम और निजी जीवन में संतुलन बनाना आसान हो जाता है, जो आज की तेजी से भागती दुनिया के लिए विशेष रूप से महत्वपूर्ण है। विविध कौशल सेट होना, फ्रीलांसरों के पास अक्सर एक विविध कौशल सेट होता है जो उन्हें विभिन्न प्रकार की परियोजनाओं पर काम करने का मौका देता है, क्योंकि बहुत सारे लोग होते हैं जो मल्टीटास्किंग कर सकते हैं, लेकिन एक ही पर्टिकुलर फील्ड में जाके वो सिर्फ एक ही काम के लिए करते रह जाते हैं। लेकिन फ्रीलांसिंग जब वो कर रहे होते हैं तो वो अपने जो पैशन होता है उसको भी फॉलो कर सकता है, और जिस फील्ड में उन्हें काम करना होता है वो भी कर सकता है। कौशल आधारित काम होता है, फ्रीलांसर को अक्सर उनकी सामान्य क्षमताओं के बजाय उनके विशिष्ट कौशल और विशेषज्ञता के लिए काम पर रखा जाता है। इसका मतलब यह है कि वे उस काम पर ध्यान केंद्रित कर सकते हैं जिसमें वे आनंद लेते हैं और अच्छे हैं, जिससे उच्च नौकरियों की संतुष्टि हो सकती है। फ्रीलांसिंग की चुनौतियां जब इसमें आती हैं तो रिव्यू, जैसे फाइवर पर फ्रीलांसिंग एक प्रतिष्ठित ग्राहक रिव्यू पर बनी है, इसलिए उच्च गुणवत्ता वाले काम और उत्कृष्ट ग्राहक सेवा को बनाए रखना महत्वपूर्ण है। हालांकि नकारात्मक रिव्यू हो सकते हैं। अगर कोई भी इंसान किसी भी प्लेटफॉर्म पे काम कर रहा है तो उसकी रेपुटेशन वहां बने होना जरूरी है, ताकि कोई भी अगर कमेंट कर रहा है, कोई बायर या फिर कोई सेलर उस पर कमेंट्स कर रहा है तो वो नेगेटिव ना हो, क्योंकि फिर उनके पास और ज्यादा काम नहीं आता। एक रेपुटेशन बना के रखना जरूरी होता है, क्योंकि रेटिंग्स होती हैं और एनालाइज किया जाता है कि कैसे उनका काम अच्छा हो रहा है और कैसे नहीं हो रहा है। जब मैंने इनका विश्लेषण किया तो इसमें तीनों के अलग अलग लाभ, हानि, उद्देश्य, सब चीजें आई, जिसमें से फाइवर का अगर हम लाभ देखें तो प्लेटफॉर्म उपयोगकर्ता के लिए अनुकूल है और फ्रीलांसर और ग्राहकों दोनों के लिए उपयोग में समान है, और असमान है क्योंकि इन पे एक अलग इंटरफेस आता है। जो बायर होता है उसके लिए अलग इंटरफेस होता है, और जब सेलर उस पर जाता है तो उसके लिए अलग इंटरफेस होता है। फ्रीलांसर की बात करें तो प्लेटफॉर्म में विशेषज्ञता के विभिन्न स्तरों वाले फ्रीलांसरों का बड़ा पूल है, जिससे किसी भी प्रोजेक्ट के लिए सही फ्रीलांसरों को ढूंढना आसान हो जाता है। अपवर्क की बात की जाए तो फ्रीलांसिंग करते हुए ग्राहक समझौते के आधार पर परियोजना, प्रति कार्य, प्रति घंटे भुगतान किया जाता है। अगर हम इसमें हानि की बात करें तो फाइवर में हानि, हमें जो चुनौती या फिर हानि होती है वो होती है कि फ्रीलांसरों का अपनी सेवाओं के मूल्य निर्धारण पर सीमित नियंत्रण है, क्योंकि फाइवर गिग इकोनॉमी के लिए न्यूनतम मूल्य निर्धारित होता है। प्लेटफॉर्म कुल ऑर्डर 20% कमीशन लेता है। फ्रीलांसर की बात की जाए तो फ्रीलांसरों की गुणवत्ता व्यापक रूप से विभिन्न होती है, और ग्राहकों को सही खोजने के लिए बोलियों की समीक्षा और फ्रीलांसरों का साक्षात्कार करने में समय बिताने की आवश्यकता होती है। अपवर्क की बात की जाए तो अपवर्क परियोजनाओं को पोस्ट करने और दोनों के साथ साथ भुगतान वापस लेने के लिए शुल्क लेते हैं। क्लाइंट के साथ पहले $500 के बिल के लिए प्लेटफॉर्म का कमीशन 20% शुल्क से ही शुरू होता है। लक्ष्य और उद्देश्य की बात की जाए तो फाइवर का प्राथमिक उद्देश्य फ्रीलांसरों को सरल और सीधे तरीके से अपनी सेवाएं प्रदान करने के लिए एक मंच प्रदान करना है। फ्रीलांसर की बात की जाए तो freelancer.com, जो पूरा नाम है उसका प्राथमिक उद्देश्य फ्रीलांसरों को परियोजनाओं पर बोली लगाने और काम खोजने के लिए एक मंच प्रदान करता है, क्योंकि फ्रीलांसर एक बहुत ज्यादा बड़ा प्लेटफॉर्म है और उसमें भी अंदर जाके बहुत से freelancer.com ने भी बहुत सारी कंपनियां खरीदी हुई हैं। तो उसमें ऐसा होता है कि अगर किसी फ्रीलांसर को काम करना होता है तो एक प्रोजेक्ट पोस्ट किया जाता है, जिसमें नीचे कमेंट्स सेक्शन जैसा होता है, जिसमें बताना होता है कि वो उसके पास ये स्किल्स है और इतना पैसा वो ले सकते हैं उसके लिए। तो वो बायर पे डिपेंड करते हैं कि उन्हें कितना चाहिए। अब वर्क का प्राथमिक उद्देश्य फ्रीलांसर और क्लाइंट को क्लाइंट को चल रहे कामकाज से संबंध बनाने के लिए एक मंच प्रदान करना है। मार्केटिंग अभियान की बात की जाए तो फाइवर के मार्केटिंग अभियान
प्लीज थोड़ा जल्दी आप वाइंड अप कीजिए प्रेजेंटेशन को।
ओके मैम। तो लास्ट स्लाइड थी मैम, निष्कर्ष पे जब आया तो उसमें देखा कि दुनिया भर के कई लोगों के लिए फ्रीलांसिंग एक लोकप्रिय और करियर विकल्प बन गया है। फ्रीलांसर लेखन, डिजाइनिंग, प्रोग्रामिंग, मार्केटिंग और परामर्श सहित विभिन्न प्रकार के क्षेत्रों में काम करते हैं। फाइवर पे अगर हम देखें तो फाइवर की फ्रीलांसिंग फायदेमंद हो सकती है, अपनी चुनौतियों के साथ आती है, जिसके बारे में फ्रीलांसर को पता होना चाहिए और इसके लिए तैयार रहना चाहिए। फ्रीलांसर प्लेटफॉर्म पर सफल होने के लिए फ्रीलांसर को सक्रिय, पेशेवर और विश्वसनीयता होने की आवश्यकता है। उनके पास एक मजबूत पोर्टफोलियो होना चाहिए, उन परियोजनाओं पर बोली लगाएं जो कौशल और अनुभव से मेल खाते हो और ग्राहक के साथ प्रभावी ढंग से संवाद करें। फ्रीलांसर जो लगातार उच्च गुणवत्ता वाले काम करते हैं प्लेटफॉर्म पर अच्छी प्रतिष्ठा बनाए रखें। और अपवर्क पर फ्रीलांसिंग एक पुरस्कृत अनुभव हो सकता है, लेकिन यह भी चुनौतीपूर्ण होता है। प्लेटफॉर्म पर सफल होने के लिए फ्रीलांसरों को लगातार काम करना जरूरी होता है। और ये ध्यान रखना महत्वपूर्ण है कि पत्रकारिता में फ्रीलांसिंग का भी अपनी चुनौतियां हैं। फ्रीलांसरों को स्थिर काम सुरक्षित करने के लिए संघर्ष करना पड़ता है और देर से भुगतान और लाभ की कमी जैसे मुद्दों से निपटना पड़ सकता है। थैंक यू।
बहुत अच्छा प्रेजेंटेशन था हर्षित। जब आपने शुरू किया तो मुझे लगा कि आप क्योंकि आपका टॉपिक था कि भाई आप फ्रीलांस पत्रकारिता में, हाँ, पर जब आप बात करते हैं कि freelance.com या एक या दो और प्लेटफॉर्म्स की आप बात कर रहे हैं, तो वो पत्रकारिता के प्लेटफॉर्म्स नहीं है, वो कंटेंट क्रिएशन के या वो क्रिएटिव मीडिया के प्लेटफॉर्म्स हैं। तो यहाँ पर कई बार क्या होता है कि हम वर्ड्स यूज कर लेते हैं, बट तो मतलब ध्यान रखना चाहिए कि जर्नलिज्म की अगर बात कर रहे हैं तो फ्रीलांस जर्नलिज्म का एक दूसरा रेलेवेंस होगा, राइट? और टॉपिक आपका रेलेवेंट है, राइट, बट जो आपने डिस्कशन किया पेपर में उसका थोड़ा अलग मायने निकलता है, राइट? तो वो आप जैसे जैसे आगे बढ़ेंगे अपनी रिसर्च में ये थोड़ा ध्यान रखिएगा, क्योंकि ये जो आप डिस्कस कर रहे हैं ये अपने आप में एक रिसर्च टॉपिक है कि किस तरह से ये गिग इकोनॉमी या ये जो डिजिटल इकोनॉमी, क्रिएटिव इकोनॉमी बढ़कर आई है और इन प्लेटफॉर्म्स ने कैसे सहायता की है फ्रीलांसर्स की, राइट? बट फ्रीलांस पत्रकारिता थोड़ा अलग टॉपिक हो जाता है। ग्रेट, थैंक यू। मनमीत, आपका कोई फीडबैक है तो बताइए।
थैंक यू सो मच मैम, आपके वाले फीडबैक थे, मेरे भी पॉइंट्स यही थे कि थोड़ा सा मुझे लगा बीच में कि हम किसी और दिशा में जा रहे हैं टॉपिक से हटकर। मैं भी कुछ और एक्सपेक्ट कर रही थी, बट इट वाज अ नाइस प्रेजेंटेशन।
क्योंकि कंटेंट राइटिंग और ये सब चीजें,
हाँ, फिर मैं रिलेट कर पा रही थी कि मुझे लगता उस चीज के साथ, जैसे ब्लॉगिंग के साथ आप कंटेंट राइटिंग की भी आपने बीच में बात की, तो उसके साथ शायद वो चीज जा रही है। बट अदरवाइज इट वाज अ नाइस प्रेजेंटेशन। थैंक यू हर्षिल, थैंक यू सो मच। नेक्स्ट प्रेजेंटेशन बाय मिस्टर राकेश कुमार, महिला शक्तिकरण की दिशा में ठोस कदम, महिला शिक्षा। राकेश जी, आर यू देयर? हाँ जी।
सभी को नमस्कार। थैंक यू मनप्रीत मैम का, आपने मुझे अपॉर्चुनिटी दी, और पल्लवी मैम को भी नमस्कार। हम सभी जानते हैं कि आज योगा डे है और योगा डे पर आज सभी ने योग मनाया होगा और सबने योग किया होगा। और आज ही के दिन हम सबका नेट का भी एग्जाम था, तो नेट के एग्जाम देने का थोड़े से वजह से आज मैं प्रेजेंटेशन नहीं दे पा रहा हूँ, लेकिन अपने जितने भी रिसर्च वर्क है मैं उसको प्रेजेंट कर रहा हूँ। तो आज हम लोग, मेरा टॉपिक है महिला सशक्तिकरण की दिशा में ठोस कदम। आज हम लोग इस वेबिनार में बैठे हैं, कॉन्फ्रेंस में बैठे हुए हैं, और पूरा कॉन्फ्रेंस हमारा पिछले 4 दिन से चल रहा है। उसमें हम देख रहे हैं कि महिलाओं की भागीदारी भी बहुत ज्यादा है। आज इस प्रेजेंटेशन में भी मैं पिछले 5-6 प्रेजेंटेशन मैंने सुना, उसमें भी मैं देख रहा हूँ कि ज्यादातर फीमेल ही ज्यादा इसमें प्रतिभाग कर रही हैं। प्रतिभाग करके क्या दैट मीन्स की क्या है, आज उनके पास अपॉर्चुनिटी है। अब मैं थोड़ा सा प्रेजेंटेशन पर आता हूँ। हम सभी आज द्रौपदी मुर्मू, सोनिया गांधी, प्रतिभा पाटिल, निर्मला सीतारमन, स्मृति ईरानी, किरण बेदी, चंदा कोचर, इंदिरा नूरी, रेणु खड़ू, इन सभी के नाम को हम बहुत अच्छे से जानते हैं। इनको किसी नाम के परिचय की मोहताज नहीं है। आज के समय में इन सभी ने अपने दम पर अपने जो लक्ष्य है उसको हासिल किया है, अपने और सारी चीजें उन्होंने खुद से हासिल किया। आजादी के बाद से लेकर के 20वीं सदी के बाद से 50, 60 और 70 के दशक में महिला सशक्तिकरण की शब्दावली का प्रयोग किया गया है। 80 के दशक में इसके स्थान पर महिला विकास की शब्दावली अधिक प्रचलित रही और उसके बाद से 20वीं सदी में एक बार फिर से महिला सशक्तिकरण शब्द प्रयुक्त होने लग गया है। आज महिला सशक्तिकरण हमारे लिए एक नए परिवर्तन लेकर के आता है, जिसमें हम देखते हैं कि महिलाओं की मानसिकता प्रवृत्ति में परिवर्तन आया है। पुरुषों की महिलाओं के प्रति जो मानसिकता है उसमें परिवर्तन आया है और जो गलत परंपराओं की समाप्ति के लिए लोग जागरूक भी हो रहे हैं और महिलाओं का आत्मसम्मान एवं आत्मविश्वास बढ़ाने के लिए भी एक तरह से देखा जा रहा है। आज महिला लेखक, कवित्री, पत्रकार, साहित्यकार, संपादिका, प्रशिक्षिका, वकील, जज, अध्यापिका, पुलिस कई तरह के रोजगार में आकर के अपने आप का परिचय दे रही है और अपनी ख्याति उजागर कर रही है। इस शोध का मुख्य उद्देश्य है समाज में भारतीय महिलाओं की उनकी दशा के बारे में जानकारी प्राप्त करना। आज के दौर में जहां एक तरफ महिलाओं सभी मुकाम हासिल कर रही हैं, सभी तरह के लक्ष्य को प्राप्त कर रही हैं, वहीं समाज में उनका उचित सम्मान नहीं मिल पा रहा है, इसके बारे में जानकारी ग्रहण करना। महिलाओं के आत्मसम्मान और आत्मविश्वास बढ़ाने के लिए जो सरकार के द्वारा जो कार्यक्रम किए जा रहे हैं और प्लस विभिन्न प्लेटफॉर्मों पर उनके लिए जो लोग अवेयरनेस प्रोग्राम चला रहे हैं, उसके बारे में भी जानकारी लगना। इसकी हमने उपकल्पना जो निर्धारित की थी, समाज में महिलाओं की स्थिति काफी दयनीय है। लोग उन्हें केवल घर की वस्तु समझते हैं और समाज में उसे जिसकी वजह से उन समाज की मुख्य धारा में नहीं जोड़ पाते हैं। महिलाएं चाहे कितनी भी ऊंचाई प्राप्त कर लें, उन्हें परिवार के सामने झुकना पड़ता है। आज भी हम बहुत सारे स्टेटमेंट सुनने को मिल जाता है कि आप पढ़ लिख करके कितना क्या कर लेंगी, आप चाहे पढ़ लीजिए, कितना भी जॉब कर लिए, आपको क्या करना है, घर में जाकर के आपको रोटी ही बनानी है, खाना ही बनाना है, घर में जाकर के वही काम करना है। आज के दौर में महिलाएं आत्मनिर्भर हैं, भारत सरकार के विभिन्न योजनाओं लेकर के मुकाम हासिल कर रही हैं। तो इसके में कौन से ऐसे मुकाम है जिसको हासिल कर रही है, इसके बारे में साहित्य समीक्षा हमने की, लिटरेचर रिव्यू हमने जो किया है। वैदिक काल में घोघा, गार्गी, मैत्रवी, आर्वेसी, शकुंतला आदि के समान अनेक विदुषी महिलाएं थी। इस बात का प्रमाण है कि उनको पुरुष के समान शिक्षा प्राप्त करने का अधिकार था, किंतु उनके पृथक शिक्षाशाला की व्यवस्था नहीं थी।
This unique conference is conceptualized by Dr. Ambrish Saxena, Professor and Dean of DME Media School. He is the convener of ICAN6. I request Sir to give his valuable remarks. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Shiksha. So thank you everybody who presented their papers in this session. This time we tried to do many things in the physical space, but then the constraint is that for a physical space conference, you have to plan much in advance. So my thanks to everybody.
Thank you so much, sir. Now, I request Dr. Susmita Bala, Professor and Head of DME Media School and Chief Associate Convener of ICAN6 to give concluding remarks.
Thank you, Shiksha. Thanks to all the paper presenters. Many research scholars and students presented their papers, which is commendable. Thank you. Thanks to all of you.
I extend my gratitude to the management and leadership team of DME. Heartfelt thanks to Dr. Ambrish Saxena for his guidance, Dr. Susmita Bala for giving us direction and support at every stage of the conference. Special thanks to the faculty members and staff of DME Media School for executing all the session. I would also like to thank the production and the technical team for providing the technical support. Special thanks to the newsletter and media coordination and social media team for the coverage of the event. I would also like to thank the designing team for creative support. I also wish to thank the administrative staff of DME. A special thanks to our conference partners, knowledge partners, international partners, and media partners. The recording of all the session of ICAN6 can be accessed through our official YouTube channel, DME TV, and follow our social media handles, ICAN page, DME page. The best paper of this session will be announced in the next technical session. The next technical session will be a panel discussion on cultural identities and cinema moderated by Mr. Praveen Nagra, Festive Director Cultural, and Kid Cinema Mumbai on Zoom at 7:30 p.m. Till then, I, Ayush Sharma, along with my co-host Arunima Rawat, would like to take your leave. Stay tuned for many such exciting sessions at ICAN6. Thank you.